Very glad to have you here today at the National Association of Manufacturers.
When President Trump took office, he immediately set in motion a process to remove and replace regulatory burdens that were stifling American innovation and economic development. The Obama administration's 2015 Waters of the U.S. definition was at the top of the list. We are gathered here today because EPA and the Army are officially repealing the 2015 definition.
Good afternoon. I want to join everyone in thanking.
Today's final rule puts an end to an egregious power grab, eliminates an ongoing patchwork of Clean Water Act regulations, and restores a long-standing and familiar regulatory framework while we consider public comments on our proposed revised definition of waters of the United States. We're delivering on the President's regulatory reform agenda.
Carter Reed, the Executive Vice President and CEO of Dominion Energy Services Company.
President Trump issued an executive order directing the EPA and the Army to review and, if appropriate, replace the 2015 definition. Today's action finalizes step one of our response to the President's executive order. Step one repeals the 2015 rule and recodifies the long-standing and familiar regulatory texts that existed previously. It also sets the stage for step two, our proposed revised definition of waters of the United States. In December of last year, the EPA and the Army issued a new proposed definition that would clearly define where federal jurisdiction begins and ends in accordance with the Clean Water Act and Supreme Court precedent.
Investor-owned companies support your continued efforts to clarify the scope of the Clean.
In the proposal, we are clearly defining the difference between federally regulated waterways and those left solely to state authority. It's important to remember that many states already have their own protections for waters within their borders, regardless of whether those waters are federally regulated or not. Together, our proposed definition and existing state programs would provide a strong network of coverage for the nation's water resources.
I'd like to ask Mike Bellman, who's the President and CEO of the Associated Builders and Contractors, to come up.
This is what Congress intended when it enacted the Clean Water Act. This network is complemented by dozens of federal and state programs designed to protect and restore the water we drink, the air we breathe, and the land we use. Our revised and more precise definition would mean that farmers, property owners, businesses will spend less time and money determining whether they need a federal permit and more time upgrading infrastructure, building new homes, creating jobs, and growing crops to feed our families.
Good afternoon. Once again, thank you, EPA Administrator Andrew Wheeler and also Assistant Secretary.
We intend to finalize the revised definition this winter so that spring comes with renewed hope for sensible federal regulation in partnership with the regulated community. Today's action fulfills a key promise of the President and lays the groundwork for his ultimate objective, a new WOTUS definition that provides hardworking Americans the regulatory certainty they need to invest in, develop, and build new projects that improve lives and the environment.
Congressman and all of our partners here on the repeal of this WOTUS rule.